What's happening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unparalleled Sports Talk with Joe's Kwame Fisher Jones. As always, I am him. Excited about today's show, talking some NFL with my man Chris Franklin of NJ.com. Look, man, the last couple shows have been kind of like they've been good shows. We've done our thing, but the topics have been scarce or sparse, I guess is that the word I'd want to use. But I'm really excited about this show. One of the reasons why I'm excited about the show is I'm one of the few people in the world, in the universe, on the planet Earth that likes to be wrong. And the reason why is because I still prove I'm rarely wrong, but when I am wrong, it gives me an opportunity to, I guess, learn something. Not I guess, it gives me an opportunity to learn something. It gives me an opportunity to see where I'm wrong, to see the mistakes I made, and to not make those mistakes again. So I say that, I take you there to bring you here. The Denver Broncos are 9-2. They are the number one team in the AFC. And just before we get to this, Chris, I gotta say this. If you told me before the season started that the top three teams in the East in the AFC would be the Denver Broncos, New England Patriots, and Indianapolis Colts, quarterbacked by one Bo Nix out of Arkansas, Drake Mayo, hold the Mayo, out of UNC. Well, he's not out of Arkansas. He's actually out of Oregon, but he's from Arkansas. I got it. Bo Nix is from Oregon. I got it. Mighty Ducks. And Daniel Jones. I would have said, get out of here. You're bugging. You're bugging. But here we sit, 9-2, 9-2, 8-2, way ahead of it. Like, this is going to be your three seeds. It's going to be your top three seeds in AFC. Bo Nix is the one that I really want to tackle, and I'm going to give you a second to address this, but I have to apologize. Or at the very least say that at this point, I was wrong. At this point, he sits with a record, I want to say uh, a record of 47 TDs, 20 picks in the NFL, 64% completion percentage. They're on an 8-game winning streak. They beaten Philly. They beaten KFC. I'm hungry, and I don't even KFC, but KC. They beat Kansas City, my mighty Eagles, and the Houston Texans, who are sneaky good. Bo Nix at this point has had a tremendous NFL career, and I thought he would flame out quietly and quickly. Before we get to the Broncos, what has been your impressions of Bo Nix at this point?
Well, I thought he's done a decent job of what he's being asked of by his head coach Sean Payton. A lot of the concepts, it looks like a Sean Payton led offense back with the New Orleans Saints when he had Drew Brees. It's nothing too flashy with a deep route. Sure, they take their shots, but a lot of their stuff is underneath. I mean, when you look at the among the leaders of yards per attempt, he's like towards the middle bottom. He's like 6.8, something like that. He's not
Yeah.
getting ball. He's
Yeah.
basically just taking the high percentage spot, the high percentage pass that's available to him, and letting his guys run off of that one and sustaining drives. The other thing I look at is when you look at the way he's operating, teams aren't blitzing because he's actually doing a good job against the blitz. He's got 7 touchdowns and 2 interceptions against the blitz. So that's you
Yeah.
take that out. I just look at he just makes too many mistakes in critical moments when it's very close games, and this can come with the youth and the experience. But I just look at this right now when it's really close games, when they're really tight, and you need him to make a play most of the time. It's 3 and out, and they have to rely on defense. That's not a bad thing to rely on defense. You have a really good defense, but I don't see him. I don't look at him the same way as I see Drake May. I don't look at him the same way. This is going to smell when I say this, as Daniel Jones is playing this year. Like at least
Yeah.
they make the plays when they happen.
Well, you froze up on us for a second there, Chris. I actually I quickly on Daniel Jones. I was never out on Daniel Jones. I was never a guy
I
that
still just don't trust him when
yeah. You froze in and out on us, Chris. You were the last comment you made was on Daniel Jones. So I'll give you a second to go back there.
Oh yeah, Daniel Jones. I look at him. It pains me to say that, but at least Daniel Jones, you can at least get some semblance of. You see, he can make the big play when he needed to. Not recently because they're in that little funk right now, but at least I get that. I just don't see that in May.
Yeah, when I first of all, quickly on Daniel Jones, just real quick on Daniel Jones. I was never out on Daniel Jones. I just was never in on him. I didn't know what he was. I thought he was. I thought at times he was Dave Brown, but I also thought at times he was a solid, functioning NFL quarterback. So I am surprised at how well the Colts are playing, but I don't think it's. I don't think Daniel Jones has been a guy that everyone can sit back and say, okay, we were all wrong on him. Now, going back to Nix, 19-9 as a starter. That's what I wanted to say earlier. I actually referenced his 47 TDs, 20 picks. 19-9 as a starter. 18 touchdowns, 18 picks this season. I don't know about the critical mistakes that you're mentioning. What I will say is I don't believe in those numbers. And I know people like to say numbers don't lie, but they damn sure mislead. Numbers are abstract art. You can use numbers to paint any type of picture you want. You can look at numbers and see one thing. I can look at numbers and see another thing. What I do see is a team that is seventh in passing attempts. So the only top 10 offensive stat they have. I see a team that is monsters on defense. With that said, he has managed to somehow be the Broncos are what many thought the Chargers would be this year. And he's managed to be what people keep thinking Justin Herbert's going to be. He's winning games. When it's all said and done, 19-9 as a starter is unbelievable. So over the course of an NFL season, he came out pretty much right as a rookie, got the ball rolling. We're going to talk about another guy that was in that draft class who has better offensive numbers, and we're saying is a bust. So I think with Bo Nix, the expectations were so low that all he had to do was breathe, and he was going to manage to be a great. It's one of those things where he can't jump over a piece of paper, and then he jumps over a Cheerio, and it's like, yo, he could fly. It's like, no, his expectations were so low that we didn't expect him to be any good. Or he managed to exceed those low expectations. The regular season for some, I talked about this in some other podcasts with Kevin Durant. And I said, normally with a guy Kevin Durant's stature, it's all about postseason. But this year, the regular season matters because his last few regular seasons sucked. This year, for Bo Nix, the regular season matters. If they go into the playoffs and they're one and done, let's say they get upset at home. Let's say they get the bye, all right? And the team that comes in, I don't have the ratings, I don't have the standings in front of me real quick. You can bring them up real fast. You can help me with that. But let's say, the team that comes in, let's say it's Buffalo or Kansas City sneaks into the playoffs right now. Kansas City goes in there and beats Denver at home. No one's going to say Bo Nix was the reason he lost. He may have a bad game, but everyone will say, most knowledgeable football fans will say, they've got a good one at quarterback. So for me, that's what this means. That's what this season means. It means that right now I'm wrong. I'm dead wrong. In 2 seasons, he's been better than a solid quarterback. He's been a playoff, I don't say perennial but he's been a playoff contending quarterback. And I didn't think he would be that. Numbers aren't going to be good because I don't think he's going to be a numbers guy. You mentioned Drew Brees. I don't think he's going to be a numbers guy. I think his numbers are always going to be pedestrian. 64% completion percentage. He'll be in that 60% completion percentage. I think he'll always make critical mistakes. You know who he reminds me of? I'm going to throw a name at you. And style of play and low ceiling, high floor. Jake Plummer. You remember Jake Plummer?
Yeah, same team too. Yeah.
He did play for the Broncos for a little bit, but he had a lot of his success with Arizona. But he reminds me of that Jake Plummer, Jake Delhomme cloth.
Ooh,
Yeah, the Delhomme.
That's a good comparison.
And Delhomme didn't have Plummer had a couple of really good statistical seasons. He had some really lights out games. But he was a guy that, you get to the playoffs, and if he got you to the playoffs, he exceeded the expectations. I think that's what the thing is with Bo Nix. I think I just thought he would be awful, and he's not awful. So therefore, I'm wrong. I don't think his biggest fans are going to want to hang their hats on the floor. Floor is yours.
You said Jake Delhomme. You know what? I think that fits him perfectly because when you look at those Carolina Panthers team when they were really on, the defense was the cornerstone. They basically said, Delhomme, listen, find Muslim Muhammad, just move and Wesley Walls if he was still here, or Brett Olson's on that, whoever was there, I forget which one, and just make enough plays that you can just keep going and you're fine. So I see that. And getting back to the whole one and done thing, I think it's pretty possible because even if they
Yeah,
finish the one, and you
yeah.
look at who right now, the Steelers are the 4 seed. That the best route for them to happen is if the Steelers beat the Chargers. And quite frankly, right now, I don't see that happening. I think the Chargers are still better than the Steelers. And I
Well,
think, and you
Steelers are 6-4, Chargers 7-4. So I mean, it's a fair comparison. But I want to just throw this. I just want to interject this in there to your point. Steelers 6-4, Chargers 7-4, Buffalo 7-4, Jacksonville 6-4, Houston 6-5, Kansas City 5-5.
yep.
So go ahead and finish your point. But that's what we're looking at right now.
And then there's a situation of one of the best things that can help out a young quarterback is the run game. You don't have J.K. Dobbins now; he's on IR. So now you're looking at R.J. Harvey, hoping he can at least help, like supplement some of that production. So you don't have J.K. Dobbins. If teams know if you have trouble struggling against a run, teams are just gonna play the pass. Is he good enough to be
No,
that guy that can lead them in that one? And I just don't see
no.
it. Chargers can beat
And
them, and the Bills
they
can
don't
beat
have
them.
the threats on the outside either. They don't have the threats on the outside for him to be good enough. Go ahead.
I'm saying for my cousin Franklin, Troy Franklin. I'm just kidding. But when you look at also Cortland Sutton, I like him. I think he could be all right. But I just think I look at those two teams, and especially them being young, them not being used to that weight of the pressure. I know that the Bills have been there before. Harbaugh's been there before. I just, I, is they better hope, hope upon hope that the Steelers are the fourth or the lowest seed in the league, and then they can get. And I think they can get to the AFC Championship game. But if not, it's another. Sean Payton didn't win the big one again. What happened? He had that big menu that looks like it should be in a diner or a Denny's or
That
something.
right
He's got
there.
that whole thing.
That part.
So
That
yeah,
part. That part. You mentioned the experience on the other teams. We would be remiss if we didn't mention the experience on his sideline. Because if you think of two monumental NFL moments, historical NFL moments, one is Peyton Manning winning a Super Bowl in Indianapolis, and Sean Payton beating him when he was with the Saints, and then Payton coming back and winning against the Bears. But you think of that game was turned by an onside kick. That Super Bowl was turned by an on. It wasn't anything spectacular, but that's what gave Peyton this gun whatever mentality. But then when you pull the layers back, one of the second greatest moments in NFL history is the beast mode run.
so yeah,
Yep. And who was that against? The New Orleans Saints. And Seattle was a sub 500 team, but they managed to win their division. Everyone was in an uproar because this bad team shouldn't get a home playoff game, and they came in there and they beat the brakes off of the Saints that year. The Saints had a lot of upsets in the playoffs. Teams they should have won at home. Which Breeze had that one championship, and like I said, I prefaced it with the onside kick because it wasn't a great play call, wasn't great offensive execution. It was an onside kick that managed to rock the Colts, and they didn't manage to finish it out. So it definitely look, man. I was wrong on Bo Nix, and I'll say it. I was wrong. He has played well at this point, and he's played better than well. And I want to give him his propers. And this is not a Baker Mayfield like whatever. I was wrong Baker, whatever. Yeah. Look, I will give Bo Nix his credit. I thought he would flame out quickly and quietly, and he has not. And I said something earlier. I'm going to hang my hat on this and I'll move on. The Broncos are what we thought the Chargers would be at the start of the season. And that says a lot because the Chargers are coached by a guy who many believe is one of the best in the game. They're quarterbacked by a guy who many believe is the best in the game. And somehow, some way, the Broncos are the story of that division. It's not the Chiefs being subpar. It's not the Chargers being 7-4. I mean, shoot, it's not even the Raiders stinking. It's how good the 9-2 Broncos are. And I'm repeating, they're on an 8-game winning streak. And in that winning streak, they beat the number one team in the NFC East. They beat one of the best defenses in the NFL in Houston, Texas. And they beat that monster in their division, Patrick Mahomes. Now, speaking of monsters, we got to talk about a monster in the Midway. Same draft class as Bo Nix, went first overall. He's got 33 touchdowns. I feel like I'm Michael Buffer coming to the ring for 33 touchdowns, 10 picks. Right now, his team has won 7 of 8. They're 7-3. Talking about one Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. But here's the problem, Chris. He's got no 300-yard games. He's got a professional record of 12-15. And their schedule coming up as Pittsburgh, Philly, Green Bay, Detroit, and the 49ers. Look, the question was supposed to be how good are the Bears, but at season end, are we going to be talking about Caleb Williams being a bust again?
I don't think so. I think that first off, you got to credit Ben Johnson for coming in, actually getting him focused and utilizing him in the right way,
I
unlike
will do no
Eberflus.
such thing. And I'll give you the floor, but I will do no such thing. And I will tell you why when you're done, but I will do no such thing. Floor is yours.
Hey, look at the way they built this offense around him. The running game is reminiscent. It's not Jahmyr Gibbs. It's not David Montgomery, but you got DeAndre Swift and Colin Onge. You got them, so they're trying to rush it to at least keep teams honest. And even that one, Roma Dunze, you look at him, it's like he's young, he's still good, he's still learning position. So you gotta have that. And then you just look overall, just the offense, that defense is not, to me, is not lights out. So you're putting all this pressure on Caleb Williams. Does he make the dumb throw decision sometimes? Yeah, he does. Like, just because you have a good arm doesn't mean you have to shoot it in a tight spot like you're Jeff George or something like that. You don't have to do that. But I look at what he's able to do. I look at what he's able to, like, his vision, and he still willed his. If you told me he'd be leading the Chicago Bears of all teams would be leading the NFC North right now, no, I would say, is this sustainable? I think they're more of a wild card team. I think Detroit comes back, rises up. I don't trust the Packers anymore. I really don't, because the
You
Packers
ain't
just
got to
like
trust them. But go ahead. Go ahead. I keep
somebody's got to win the
interrupting you.
North. No, you're good, man. Somebody's got to win the North. I don't
Yeah.
think it's them. That's why I put the Lions up there to 1. It ain't the Vikings. We know that for sure. So I look at that. They're one and done. For them, Chicago, that's a successful season for them. Looking at the way he's played, he needs more refinement, and I trust Johnson in able to doing that. They built the route tree he's actually built for him. I wonder what it's like to actually have an offensive coordinator built a route tree that fits their actual players. I wrote that. So you look at that, and I look overall, I'm like, I think that Williams is a good spot. I still prefer Jayden Daniels over him. I still think Jayden Daniels overall better quarterback, but the Bears are in the right spot to make a position, and nobody's going to fault him. Now, if they lose all these games, yeah, they're going to fault him, but I don't think they're going to fault him to lose them. If they, even I just talked down to the Packers, if they lose the Packers and 49ers, who seem to be up and running right now. Yeah, I think overall it's a good season for them.
All right. Couple things here. The somebody's got to win argument, that doesn't help me. Because it's like, I don't want to pick them, but somebody's got to do it. So, listen, man. I'm going to run off this schedule for you. Right now, they're 7-3. There's 10 games. They got 7 games left in the season. Of those 7 games, they got Pittsburgh, Philly, Green Bay, Detroit, and the 49ers. I think they lose all 5 of those games. They have not been a winning team all season, Chris. And I'm going to repeat that for you just so you fully grasp what I just said. They are 7-10. They right now have won 7 of their last 8. All right? They have 7 games remaining. 5 of those 7 are against playoff teams, solidified playoff teams. You can argue about Detroit, you can argue about the 49ers, but I think we both would agree that we would be more surprised if they didn't make the playoffs than they did. And right now, they're both like 6-4, 7-5. I don't know what the 49ers are. I can look it up in a second. Point is, we know the 49ers and Detroit are going to give them some work. Philly, Pittsburgh, they're going to lose all 5 of those games. Then they will be sitting and say, okay, what do you think? We can just unpack that. What do you think they go in that stretch? That 5-game stretch?
3-2. Because I think they win the one at home against Green Bay. I think they beat Cleveland, and I think they beat Pittsburgh at home too. I think they win 3 of those games.
Cleveland is not an NFL team. We're not in Cleveland is a bye. So like Cleveland is a bye. So if you want to throw, all right, my bad. You're right. They've got 7 games remaining. They've got 6 games remaining and a bye. So like the Browns are a bye. So like, let's not even consider that. So you're saying that they win that game, they obviously get the win in the bye. So that's 8-3. You're telling me you think of that 5-game stretch, Pittsburgh, Philly, Green Bay, Detroit, and the 49ers, you think they go 3-2 in that stretch?
Yeah, and even when it comes to Detroit, that final game, who knows? Detroit may clinch everything. They know they won't have a 1 seed, so they may rest all their players.
Oof,
And they may,
oof,
it's one of it could be one of those
oof.
interesting dynamics where do you let your division rival win, or do you play
Shit
it
from the
out one
little
of those
black
type
guy.
things, seeding stuff like that?
Shit from the little black guy. And this is the last time I interrupt you for Shaw Parker. I just said, I'll ask you that. What's the score when they played Detroit earlier this year? When Chicago
Yeah, it was
played Detroit
bad.
earlier?
It was bad. It was bad. It
It's
was
bad
bad.
is not a number, Chris.
52.
I need a number from you, my
They
friend.
gave up 50. They gave up 52 points.
Okay. And he said that like Ray Charles. They gave up 52 points. Yeah, they gave up 52 on that. It was awful. It was awful. It was abysmal. It was horrendous. Look, it may be close. There's no way that you let a team hang half a honey on you and you come back and beat that team. Now, stranger things have happened, but the strangest would be them doing that. Is they're not going to beat that team. But I'll give you that. Even if they manage to go 3-2, that's 10-5, right? They get the win in the bye, also known as the Cleveland Browns. So that's 11 wins. So that's 11-6. And okay, I'm not anointing anybody off 11-6. I'm not patting anybody on the back after 11-6. You have a guy who many deem is struggling, you included, deem is struggling. His struggle is 33 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. That's his struggle. Bo Nix has 18 touchdowns and 8 interceptions, and we're patting him on the back.
Oh, I'm still not a
Exactly.
Knicks. I'm not a Knicks fan.
So that's what I'm saying.
I'm
I'm
not
not
letting
giving
nothing
that
go
coach.
Knicks.
I think that coach, they won despite him or in spite of him, whichever way the context would be. They're not winning because the coach is doing anything spectacular. They're winning because Caleb he's not going for the jugular. And teams are he basically, you know what he's doing? He's dressing down. That's what he's doing. He's dressing down. He is the beautiful woman that is hiding how beautiful she is. She's got the baseball cap, she's got the sunglasses on, she's got the baggy sweats, the hoodie on, the rusty, dusty Tims. That's what Caleb's doing right now. And teams keep looking for this beautiful girl that they're used to seeing, and she's able to navigate in and around. In this case, Caleb's able to do the little things because everybody knows this dude is nice. He should not be playing this bad. So, no, I don't think the coach is doing a great job. I don't believe in them. They have not beat a winning team all year. And when they lined up across their last winning team, half a honey was given to them. Floor is yours.
I still take this. I still take Caleb Williams when chips are down. I'd rather take him than Bo Nix when everything's said and done. If I got one drive to lead a team down the field, I'm trusting Caleb Williams. Look at what he's done in those situations. Right, that almost blow another one out. I trust him more. And those playoff games are going to come down to those one possession games. I think he gives them a better shot. I think, in my opinion, than Bo Nix would in a similar situation. And the reason why I also look at the fact that he's elevating some of that talent around him because, all right, I'll get it here. His receiving core right now is, sorry,
Yeah.
excuse me.
Yeah.
Well, here he goes. His top receivers right now: DJ Moore, who's underperforming again, in my opinion. Roma Dunze, a rookie, 600 yards, 6 touchdowns. That's his go-to. Colston Loveland, Luther Burden III,
Sounds like
Alameda
pastor.
Zacchaeus.
He sounds like
These
a
are his.
pastor.
Yeah.
Luther. What is it? Luther what? Say it again.
Luther Burden III. Please pass the
Luther
plate
Burton.
around because you can't.
Everybody stand to your feet and get ready for Pastor Luther Burton III. He's going to give you the word for the day. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Hey, you got that guy you got him throwing to those receivers. It's almost he's not McNabb, but it's almost like when Don McNabb had those early receivers like Charles Johnson, Torrance Small, and James Thrash and Pinkston. It's a lot like that. They don't have that dominant end. You hope Odunze becomes that guy, but it's still struggling a little bit. So I'm looking at that. I'm like, you gotta give him credit for elevating those guys to be in a position right now where they're leading the NFC North. Now, if you put Bo Nix behind this, the same situation, I'm not so sure he's doing this. I think we're talking about him like, well, we have another. If you switch flop them in places, I think you look at where he's at in Chicago, like, well, Chicago failed on another quarterback experience.
Yeah, I use the Bo Nix comparison just because I wanted to put into context how high the bar was for Caleb. And listen, man, like Green Bay is a 6 seed right now. They're 6-3-1. They have a much easier schedule. I expect them to sneak and win that division. I expect them to come back and do enough to win that division. The coach of Green Bay, his name escaped. I want to say Matt McFlynn, but I know it's not
Matt
McFlynn.
LaFleur,
So say it again.
Matt LaFleur,
Matt LaFleur. I don't know where I got Matt McFlynn, but
it should be that way. It should be the
it's
way it should
still I still like his play calling, his play design, his schemes. It, I know everyone talks about McVay, and he's got the Super Bowl, so I got to shut up on that. I can't. But this dude Lafleur is a freaking problem. He schemes guys open like I've never seen before. And Jordan Love may or may not be a good quarterback. I don't know. You know, the Packers may or may not be, may not have great wide receivers. I don't know. But that mofo making the play calls on the sideline is a bad dude, man. He is good at what he does. And I'm not gonna bail on them. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna be able to do it. So Green Bay is gonna sneak and win that division. With that said, I don't want to argue ifs and coulds and woulds. I do want to ask you this question though. Should Caleb continue to trend the way he's trending this season? No 300-yard games, not beating a winning season, not beating a winning team. Should we be considering him? I asked you that question earlier. What should be the mindset with him going forward? What should the Bears do with him going forward? Because now you're at 2 seasons. You had a better season than before. But like I said, if they continue to trend, no, not beating a winning team, no 300-yard games, and you know, a pedestrian record, 12-15 right now. Probably finish out the season about 16 and 19 or whatever, with 34 games. Yeah, roughly 16 and 18. What are we looking at here?
I think you have something there still, and to the point where I think you trade for a wide receiver. I think it's gonna be tough for them to get that.
There's
I think
one
you
in
trade.
Philly that's going to be
No,
available.
no, 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 no. He's not. No, he's not. No, 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 no. I
No,
mean,
no.
even here's another name out near your way, Brandon Ayuk.
Oh, they just cut his money too.
Yep.
But can he play? Can he play? And that's all story for another day. Go ahead, make your point. My
Yeah,
bad. Go ahead, make
I
your
think
point.
a guy like that, you don't need a dominant number one guy. It would help for sure. Trust me, it would open up so much stuff. But I think just one receiver away from really truly being a top five, top seven offense, because they respect Johnson respects he does enough on the run, and I think Caleb Williams can distribute the ball around. Some of his times, I think, and when you look at some of his throws and some of the decisions he makes, I think it's still inexperienced. I think he's not controlled enough and settled enough, and he thinks, oh, I can just wing this ball by just to get into the defensive back. You get another bona fide wide receiver that moves DJ Moore outside. You can move Roman on the outside with another wide receiver, and then like that, it can even be a decent slot guy, like a respectable slot guy. Just get another weapon that can target and basically make defenses think. And I think Caleb can really take advantage of that. And when all said and done, you're like, wow, Caleb can have his 300 yards, like 310, three. And I think a lot, it goes into play with a lot. I just think the defenses are just better this year than what we had last year. I think it's the overcorrection here because there's not that many guys that are really slinging the ball that we are accustomed to doing. So you get a guy if you get Williams to just play the same way, get him another weapon, I think his numbers go up by a lot.
Normally, I give you the final word. I'm going to take the final word on the scale of Williams topic. Went over Green Bay schedule, went over Detroit schedule. Look, I think Caleb Williams is a tremendous talent. I think institutionally the Bears suck. I think they have an institutional foundational problem in developing quarterbacks. I don't know what it is. I'm not a football guru to dissect it, but I think that every quarterback that comes through that door has not been awful. Much like the Sixers, every top pick that's come through that door has not been awful. At some point, those three fingers need to point back at you. What we will find out is this. They have an outside shot to beat the Steelers. I wouldn't be surprised if they beat the Steelers. I think they get mollywopped by Philly. Because I think eventually Philly's offense will come around, but right now that defense is not smoke and mirrors. That defense is a legit defense. The defensive line is a legit defensive line. The linebackers are like they're rounding in the form. Vic Fangio's good defense coordinator. You've got at Green Bay, they've got the bye, aka Cleveland Browns. You've got the 49ers, and you've got Detroit. With Green Bay mixed in there. Caleb manages to go 2-1 in that Green Bay game and Detroit game, they'll win that division. It's that simple. They go 2-1. He beats Green Bay twice or Green Bay once. I can't say what Green Bay Detroit once. Then they've got a shot. If he doesn't, his people need to sit down with the Bears and they need to get the hell out of Chicago. I'm standing 10 toes on that right now. They need to force Chicago's hand to get him out of it. It's unprecedented. It's never been done. But the fact of the matter is, going into the draft, they didn't want to go to Chicago. Landing in Chicago, they didn't want to go to Chicago. They're renting, not buying. At this point, if that happens, because Caleb ain't the problem. 33 TDs and 10 touchdowns, 10 picks. That ain't the problem, my guy. You talking about trading for a wide receiver. That ain't the problem. We got 7 rounds in the NFL. You can't pick a wide receiver. You can't find a guy. You're going to take a guy over injury reserve. You're going to take a disgruntled guy. Philly. Listen, Caleb's people need to sit down with Chicago and say it's been real. We will not show up and play. And they're going to say, well, we're not going to trade you, so if you don't play, you don't play anywhere. Okay, I'll go back to school, and we can go fight for the money. Or you can take something for me, but I'm not coming back. I think there's a guy in Indianapolis that did that. I think there's a guy that did that. Now, I want to quickly move spots to a quarterback that's going to be making his debut start, his official start, and Shedeur Sanders. He's going to be playing against the Raiders. I have my opinions on what good looks like, but I'm gonna use a phrase we use when we coach our associates, our employees. What does good look like to you for Shedeur Sanders?
For me, I think it's something where for him to stick in that spot, he needs 2 touchdowns, 250 yards, and about a completion rate of 62, 63% in order to get Stefanski to keep him out in that field. Because I have this feeling, like, I know there are reports out of Cleveland saying that he was going to get the last 4 games and play, excuse me, no matter what. I think Stefanski really loves Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
yeah, and that's the problem. Like, he has to have that type of stat line. And even then he might have to go above and beyond, because he'll be like, well, that's what Dylan did the first time. So you know what? Let's go back to Dylan Gabriel and get that whole situation with him. He needs to get out of there. And I don't know why. I don't know how he does it. He just needs to get out of there, because there's another guy that's still looming on that roster next year who may be the backup or whatever. Everybody's going to talk about him, Mr. I almost keep having people Scoochie. Mr. I can't get a massage without getting in trouble.
Yeah.
So I think he's in a situation where he just needs to get a game or two of tape, and this is a perfect thing for him. So I think he's going to do well, because it's the Raiders, and he'll have plenty of opportunities to do it, because the Raiders' offense is with Chip Kelly just stinks right now. So he'll have plenty of opportunities to get those numbers.
For me, what good looks like is no pick sixes. You gave some numbers, and the fact of the matter is, excuse me, he can put up those numbers. I don't believe that those numbers are going to be real numbers. I think right now he just can't make the fatal highlight reel mistake. He can't run around like he did in Colorado, trying to make a play and just throw it up or take the 20-yard sack. He cannot throw the pick six. He can't. If he throws the pick six, he will not be an NFL quarterback next season. He'll be on a roster, but he won't play a game. If he makes the pick six, if he throws the pick six, we're going to talk from should Shedeur Sanders be a starting quarterback to does he even belong in the NFL? And he will quietly go away. This is his one shot. If next start he throws a pick six, okay. But all eyes are going to be on him this game. You mentioned the Raiders not being a good football team, but they're still an NFL team. And just as much as he's excited to start, they're excited for him to start. They are looking forward to that. What do they say when you go into prison? Not I've ever been in a prison, but in prison movies, when a guy comes, new fish. That's what they're saying
Shawshank
right now.
Redemption.
Yeah, new fish. We got new fish, guys. We got new fish. So that's what good looks like to me. No pick six, no 20-yard sacks. Throw the ball away. If he's 20 for 31 for 89 yards, that's fine. That's fine. Because all you're doing right now is learning how to be an NFL quarterback. That's all he's doing. He's not going to have a 400-yard game. If he does, it's smoke and mirrors. He cannot make the big mistakes. He has to show. Here's what he has. Because I know Shador has it here. My question is, does he have it? Was he right? Has it right here? But the NFL's question is, does he have it here? And the pick six and the sacks means he doesn't have it here. Or they can point and say he doesn't have it here. My question isn't here. My question isn't here. It's my question is, oh Jesus. My question isn't here. My question is here. But the NFL's question is here. And he's got to prove it there. And that's what good looks like for me. And you know what else good looks like? This show was a good show. It's a great show. That's it for this episode of Unparalleled Sports Talk. If you like the podcast, make sure you share, subscribe, comment, whatever your podcast platform allows you to do. He is Chris Franklin of NJ.com. I'm Kwame Fisher Jones. Until next week, we appreciate your time and year. You're busy.